Spring has arrived and I'm ready to get carving again. I'm starting with this raw boulder of soapstone from India, which I'm going to transform into a fully polished and detailed grizzly bear. My name is Andrew Gable, and I've been doing art pretty much my entire life, and for the last decade have been creating and selling original stone carvings. Here I'm just sanding the outer layer so I can get a good look at the inside and check for any cracks that might be a problem, as well as getting a sense of the color and if there are any sections of the stone that I could possibly highlight with my design. These pieces are a marriage between form and function. I'm working with the shape of the stone, where the form is somewhat predetermined based on the natural shape of the stone, but then seeing where I can adjust the form to highlight different aspects of the stone. I feel like I'm emerging from hibernation with this piece after a break from carving during the cold winter months. I start with drawing my design directly on the stone, using various references to support the vision I have for the piece. With this one, I'm going to have the head looking to the side, as that was already the natural flow of the stone. With the warmth and support of my coffee, I'm ready to dive in and start making those first crucial cuts. First, I'm establishing the correct height of my subject, and if you've seen my videos before, you know how I typically start blocking in and refining the head first to help set up the rest of the piece. As I mentioned in the beginning, this is soapstone from India. I carved a few pieces of Indian soapstone a few years ago and absolutely loved it. They were stunning. But of course, the beauty of stone carving and creating original works of art is that no two stones are alike, and this new batch of Indian soapstone is actually nothing like the previous batch. The color is a lot different, however it embodies its own unique beauty and personality. You will see the natural color at the end of the video, which I bring out through the sanding and finishing process. You can now see the head beginning to emerge from the block of stone. I usually carve it a bit larger in the beginning, then slowly reduce the size through the refining process. Leaving it a little bigger in the beginning leaves me a lot of room to adjust the design and proportions to determine the final shape and pose of the subject. There is still snow and ice on the ground here, but it's refreshing to be at the studio again, taking in the sights, sounds, and experiences of nature. Last year I relocated my studio from Squamish, BC to further north to Prince George, BC, where I grew up, out in the countryside where I spent my childhood. It's quiet out here, and I love hearing the birds and the sounds of nature when I turn my grinders off. I'm probably the loudest thing out here. I've always found nature to be like a womb for creativity. There's less distraction and a deep silence that helps you, or at least helps me, slow down and calm down and connect with that natural creativity that lives inside of us all. It's interesting to think that my creative spirit was cultivated on this very same 5 acres of land, under the same skies, enveloped in the same sounds, temperatures, smells, and physical sensations of this unique natural environment. With the head starting to take shape, I'm ready to move into the rest of the body. Here I'm establishing the general angle of the body and preparing a nice surface to draw in the legs. So once that's done, I can refer back to my references and begin placing in the legs and also the bottom of the belly. I decided to lift the front left paw of the bear because I find it brings a little more dynamism to the piece. I always pay attention to the position of the legs because the body always moves in relationship to itself. I do my best to observe these relationships between the leg positions to capture exactly how a bear actually walks and moves. Granted, I always have my artistic license in my back pocket if I feel like breaking these rules and just trying something that I may not have observed in nature, but that seems like a good idea in the moment. Now it's time to dig into these front legs. Some background on me. After I graduated from art school, where I majored in drawing, I spent about 10 years trying to make it as an artist, mostly with my paintings and drawings. I rarely sold anything. I had no idea about sales and taking a more active role in deliberately trying to sell my work. I thought it would just happen on its own if the work was good enough. And that's partly true, but when I embraced sales and started studying sales books, that shift was like a precursor to me selling my work. Of course, it also came after a decade, even more than that, of refining my craft. So I'd say a refined expression and willingness to let money become part of the equation instead of demonizing it has been part of my equation to selling enough art to carve sculptures full time. There are a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and those are just a few. Once I establish the positions of the legs, it's time to start taking out a lot of the excess stone and really open the piece up. This is a fun part of the carving phase because I'm moving a lot of volume. It takes some planning and measuring to get everything where you want it to, but once it's set in stone, so to speak, then you can really just carve, let go of the references for a while, and dig out a lot of that stone that you don't need. I think it's looking great so far, and at this point, it's mostly all about the form. I have a sense of the color, but as I carve, the focus is the form and not so much the color. The faces in my pieces are typically the most developed and refined part of the carving. Some of the forms of the body are more generalized, with a lot of the realism being articulated in the face. I often relate this back to drawing in my sketchbook. Maybe this is why I was a drawing major in art school. I spent countless hours with just a pencil drawing on paper. There's no color involved. The focus is more just about modeling the form. It simplifies things and I really enjoy that process. So I often relate or compare stone carving to drawing. There's a simplicity to it. Now I'm ready to take things home. I will go through each leg and get each one ready to place in the claws, which will be one of the last things I do. As I do this, I also will work on the body a little bit, getting the shape just how I want it, and getting everything ready to start sanding. It's so fun to finish these pieces. In a world of AI and seemingly instant creative possibilities, nothing beats the sense of accomplishment that comes from completing a project that actually took time, where you as a human being are actually filled from and through your own expression. You've actually refined your skill and experienced and lived a process that contributes and shapes your mind, body, and being. You can't get that from even 1,000 artworks AI created for you at the push of a button. I believe there's a place for AI and I see it as an incredible tool, but also realize and see the value of creating something that is hands-on, so to speak. Here's the finished piece. I called him King. I hope you like it and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Thanks for taking the time and valuing what I'm doing here. See you in the next video.